just going to do a thought process here. Having children isn't by desire. First of all, having children is by instinct, offspring. Then we decide if we want to let that instinct come into fruition, or if we stifle that instinct by our own desire, or we let that instinct continue and build a desire behind it. But first and foremost, having offspring is an instinct. That's why having sex, if nobody's had sex before, they don't know what it feels like. And so there's a instinct behind sex, and they don't even know what it feels like. But yet, when a man looks at a woman, there's chemical reactions of instinct that come into play. But we have the individual free will to decide whether we want that to be or not to be. Homos decide they want to have sex with the same sex, and that's not going to bring offspring. So they have to have alternative thoughts if they're going to want offspring. Oh, I want to be a homo, but I want to have offspring. Oh my God, that ain't going to work. But in this day and age, man rules. Man's only going to rule for so long. You know, artificial insemination. That shit didn't work back in the 1800s. So, all the details around humans and offspring, it's first and foremost a impulse. There's many impulses we think are free will choice, which are not. We have to stifle natural, I said that word before, now I can't even think of it, reactions. We can stifle them or get tricked into thinking that something totally opposite is okay. The only thing homosexuality does is glorify the individual. That's all it does. It glorifies the individual because that's all it does. It glorifies the individual. That's all homosexuality does, is glorify the individual. Because they're doing their own thing. And the instinct of having children. And the only reason somebody's a homo is because they've been wrongly taught, or they have had emotional excitement from a homosexual act, and they're going by that emotional excitement to base a whole lifestyle on. And then it becomes about them, nothing else. Offspring, or, they have to change and go back to the natural way of offspring if they're going to have offspring, or artificial, whatever. But it's, natural impulse to have offspring to keep the human race alive. For God to have children. If everybody was a homo, the world would end as we know it. And so, how come there's homos and normal thinking people. Yeah, no, homosexuality is definitely a perversion that really, once that homosexual, man, there's a spirit behind it. Once that homosexual spirit gets in there, it confuses everything. Romans chapter 1. Romans chapter 1, you read that and you see where it talks about homos, and then you see all the confusion and nastiness around it. Romans chapter 1. I may have to do a teaching on Romans chapter 1 because it exposes homos. And the list goes on, and people can't see it if they're not shown. But once you're shown, it's all about the perversion of homos. After a certain verse, it's all about the perversion of homos. Romans chapter 1. Hello? If you don't read Romans chapter 1 and you don't see the inside information and the external information and the information right there in front of your face from Romans chapter 1 being about homos and what not to be, then you have a spiritual blinder for some reason, somehow, and it might be spirit. You have that blinder, possibly. So look at Romans chapter 1, see where God places homos, and then you make your own decision. Have a great day.